Okay, we're unmuted for just a second, and I'll remute it right now.
Sounds good. Thanks.
All right. Welcome everybody who's here joining us both in person and online. Today is February 2nd, 2021. Before we start, I want to make sure, Julie, are you connected to us? We have Julie Jackson joining us virtually today.
I'm here. Hi, friends.
Hello, Julie. Welcome, welcome. All right, let's start by
Can
indicating.
you hear me okay?
We can. Let's start by indicating who's here.
You guys can't hear me.
She can't hear us.
Oh, you can't. She can't hear us.
Is she not hearing you?
Julie, can you hear me?
She heard you when
she
you
got disconnected.
when you asked if she was.
She answered, right?
Yeah.
And then she went.
So now, can you hear us now?
Julie, can you hear us now?
I can hear you.
Awesome. Let's start by indicating who's here, starting with you, Julie.
Julie Jackson, board member.
Harry Bodden.
Nicole McDermott.
Martin Bates, superintendent.
Connie Burgess.
Chris Wynn.
Clark Nelson.
And Karen Winder. Welcome, everybody. We're excited you're with us tonight. We are going to start with administrative report. In the first one, we're going to turn the time over. Let's see. Charlene, there you are. She's going to give us a report on human trafficking.
So good afternoon, President Winder, members of the board, Superintendent Bates, members of the superintendency, guests. My name is Charlene Louie, the Director of Educational Equity. It's good to meet some of the board members that are brand new. Thank you for the opportunity to share with you this brief presentation on our human trafficking grant, which is now a program that we will be utilizing here in Granite School District. As you can see on the PowerPoint on the next slide, I'm just going to share a little bit with you. You may not be aware of this, but January is noted as the National Human Trafficking Awareness Month. And specifically, January 11th is recognized as Human Trafficking Awareness Day. So as we worked with Director Horsley, we launched a social media campaign in Granite School District. You may have seen it on social media, but we were encouraging others to not only dress in blue, but to be able to take pictures in their groups, their staff, personnel, et cetera, and then post it to social media with a hashtag that says Wear Blue Day. The Blue campaign began in 2010 by the U.S. Department of Homeland Security as a united effort to combat human trafficking. And I have to say that until I actually started working on the grant and working with the group that we're working with, I did not know much about human trafficking here in the state of Utah. So I want to just share a little bit of that information with you. Human trafficking is a global issue. And you may not realize this, but Utah has the 4th highest reported cases when compared to the top 10 states per capita. So for those of you who look at the data, you might say, well, Charlene said it was the 4th highest reported cases. Well, it says it's the 32nd on the list for reported cases, but when you look at the per capita rate, we are the 4th highest per capita throughout the nation. So Granite School District was awarded the Human Trafficking Youth Prevention Education Grant. We refer to that as H-type. There are only 8 national organizations that were awarded this grant, so we were very fortunate, we feel, that in Utah, Granite School District was one of the awardees. It is the first federal program specifically designed to educate and build resiliency to human trafficking in children and youth within our schools. Our first network that we will be working with is the Cottonwood Network. And some of you may be familiar with Terry Palmer. She is the Utah Director of Protect. Protect is the curriculum that's developed by 3 Strands Global Foundation, and they are our non-partner in this grant effort. Many of you know Terry as a patron here in Granite School District, very involved in PTA, community councils, et cetera. So we're fortunate that we have one of our own patrons very, very involved in this program. So a few elements in the program to go further to give you more of an idea. Our program will include curriculum that is state approved, and the curriculum will focus on 5th, 7th, 9th, and 11th grade students. It focuses on awareness and prevention education. Education on items such as risk factors, types of exploiters, common terminologies so that all of us are familiar with that terminology, and also an understanding and recognizing of victimization. Another point here is that all district personnel will complete the Human Trafficking Prevention Education Learning Module, and that is as stated in Utah Code 53G-9-207, which you may not, the numbers are, I just wanted to show you that and illustrate that this is something that the state feels so important about, that it is in code, written in code. This is also an outreach to our families and community partners in educating on how to prevent and identify a child in crisis and safely intervene to save them from horrific situations. And another important prong of the program is that we will be establishing a coordinated response. So human trafficking school safety protocols are being developed in conjunction with law enforcement and other service organizations, ensuring an effective response. Our Granite School District Chief of Police, Chief Porter, is very involved in this process with us as well. So very briefly, I outlined some of the important prongs of some of the things that we'll be doing with this grant. It is a grant that we will be able to work with for the next 3 years. So at this point in time, are there any questions or?
Can you address, I mean, I know it's a state-approved curriculum, but drilling down to the actual school level, how is this going to be implemented? Is it a specific teacher within a school? Is it an assembly format? Can you address in each, because it looks like 5th grade would be the only one in our elementaries, everything else is secondary. So what does this training look like in the classroom, in a school setting?
Well, thank you for asking that question. What we are going to be doing is working with and training. By the way, if I could just very briefly in the back, you'll see Mandy McConey, Mandy, if you can wave your hand, and Vilda King. They are two of our human trafficking coordinators that have been hired through the grant. And they have been working very closely with Three Strands Global Foundation with the curriculum and learning more in depth about the curriculum. How we have structured the presentation of the information in the curriculum is working also very closely with our social workers and our counselors. So we will be training them and working with them, and they will be working with their students that they would be working with in the 5th grade, say, for example, during certain times of the month. And from there, we will be working with that. In addition, Dr. Converse with curriculum is very involved in this as well, so that we are making sure that it has been approved by the Utah State Board of Education, the curriculum. But in addition to that, we want to be very specific and strategic in how we are delivering it so that it is developmentally appropriate and also via curriculum. And it's very specific to Utah as well. I know that as we work with the federal liaisons in Washington, D.C., some of the other states, their curriculum, each state's curriculum reflects a little bit of their own uniqueness. And so within our curriculum as well, I know that we have been very specific to make sure that we are following expectations or guidelines, so to speak, of our Utah what is correct for us, so to speak, or what would be acceptable. And so once again, hopefully that answers your question, President Winder. We are, as far as the specifics of the curriculum, we'll have that available
Right.
For everyone to also participate in and to see more clearly.
I think my question, I think you touched on this a little bit, because it sounds to me like if it's built into a classroom curriculum, you're going to have a lot more kids paying attention instead of this massive assembly style.
Exactly.
And so is that, I mean, when you say the specifics aren't out yet and everything, that's fine. That's not what I'm asking. But just making sure if people come to us as board members and ask, oh, what are you teaching human trafficking for? So that's it's more of an intimate classroom setting where, maybe kids can feel a little bit more safe.
Exactly. And interactive and creating safe spaces where the students can work with their social worker, counselors, our human trafficking coordinators as well. So there's a lot of time that will be put into professional development so that we can do this well and make it effective as well to help all of our students.
Did you have a question, Nicole?
I did have a question. Sorry. So, and you did kind of mention this too. You're planning on running this with the social workers. They're going to be the ones that kind of coordinate it and do it in the schools. Or are we expecting teachers to learn this?
Oh, yes, definitely. So the first, we're hoping by the end of this year to be able to have the module. It's a module that could be put onto Safe Schools platform. And that's something that we're also talking to Doug Larson about. And because this is part of the Utah Code, there is an expectation for us, when I say us, all of Granite School District employees, because this includes bus drivers, cafeteria workers, lunch workers, and I would assume, and as board members, you probably all would like to at least see what the overall background is and the module that we're all going through. So that's one of the first prongs. And then it will continue on with the social workers, counselors, and I failed to mention as well, Clay Pierce, as well as Judy Peterson. We really have quite a collaborative staff here on the district level working with this and implementing it. So it's a cross-district effort.
So might a social worker come into a health class and teach that, or would this be
In addition to, the health teachers could also.
So whose class is this going to be? Because we're not going to have a human trafficking course.
No.
So-
So the curriculum will be integrated into, for example, a health class. It could be integrated into the already existing health curriculum, and that's something that we're working with the curriculum department on as well.
And so will the module, I think I'm intrigued by what Nicole just asked, will the modules be there for the teacher just to plug and play? The health teacher, let's say, or will the health teacher need to get up to speed on the curriculum so they can
The
instruct it
teacher will
themselves?
also need to understand more about it as well. So there will be some professional development with the teacher.
I guess just if it's not taught through health, like the 5th grade, obviously, is that going to be the classroom teacher? I'm worried, are they going to feel overwhelmed that they have one more responsibility on their plate, or is that going to be taught by the,
That will be taught by, that's a really good question. Thank you for asking that. It will be taught by the majority of that, or the main responsibility will be with the counselors and the social workers. But we do want the classroom teacher to be able to know what's going on, so they can then support it throughout the day, the week,
reinforce?
and reinforce it, yes.
Okay.
Chris, you had a question?
Yeah, so you said it's going to start in the Cottonwood Network first. Does that mean for the 3 years you're going to just rotate through the networks, or are you going to just, is that kind of like the pilot program for the district?
All networks will be involved. We have it outlined for Cottonwood Network this year because it's our first year, and the second year we'll bring on, I can't remember in what order, but we'll have several more networks, and then in the third year, the whole district will have that. And this is a demonstration grant, so as we learn together in Granite, we will be sharing this along with the other recipients, awardees of the grant, with best practices. And so, Chris, it's a great question because we're all learning together, and the federal government is looking to Granite to learn, from our experience and our implementation, best practices for implementing this throughout the nation.
Thank you.
And to clarify, when you say end of the year, for those listening, make sure you know it's the end of the school year. This isn't a December project. This is a May, June project to have that module ready to go for the fall. Is that correct?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
I had a question. Charlene, I am really anxious to get to know you and what's going on in your department. I think you do such important work, and thanks for all your work. I am so uneducated about human trafficking. And so I wonder, is there a place where we can go to look at this curriculum or to find out more about how these issues affect our kids in Granite? I feel like I really need to understand the problem.
Yes, definitely. In fact, we can, for anyone on the board who would like to, we could give you access to the Protect curriculum so that you could then view it as well. And thank you for your comments, first of all. I appreciate the acknowledgement that you gave, board member. Thank you. And then we can also provide specific information. We just also completed a seminar that was hosted by the University of Utah with the Attorney General's Office on Human Trafficking here in the state of Utah. So we have some great information or other information. We're learning as well. Myself and my team are learning about everything else that's going on in the state, and truly, if you're not involved, if you haven't been involved in it, you really don't realize the extent of the problem here.
That's how I feel. I feel like I do not understand the extent of the problem, such that while I am sad about human trafficking and I want to help, I feel like I need to feel the urgency, Thank you for that.
No problem, and we will definitely share that with you.
So Clark, you sent an email, and that's, the link is Thrivecast, is that right?
Correct, Thrivecast.
Yeah, is that,
Yes, that's it. Mhm.
we
Yeah.
we may talk about it tonight, is that something, because Clark already has evidently gone through the module. Are we okay to go on there? Would you like us to wait till you?
No, I think, Mr. Nelson, Clark, I know Terry Palmer has referred to you, and you've worked together a lot on the community council and everything, and you're working the Cottonwood Network with Cottonwood High School. So that would be fine, because if Clark has that, then go right ahead and do that. I just wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, my
You had
understanding
that.
is that it's been set up for enough seats for all of us to take that through the Thrivecast. So that should be ready to go. You can log in, register. It's informative. It's uncomfortable to watch in a very good kind of a way, if that makes sense. So as it's been alluded to, it's a real problem, and it's something that we all need to learn more about, so that we can be more effective as a district in preventing and in dealing with it when it has in fact already happened.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
And I think that the conversation, and I think we can, let's talk about this maybe, over dinner or dinner break or something like that. Not board business, just calendaring, maybe getting a day where everybody, or put it maybe prior, just a little bit prior to an already existing meeting. Let's talk through that over our dinner break. Because I think, I appreciate what Julie said. I think this is going to make us uncomfortable. But I think sometimes the toughest conversations are the conversations to have. But I also need to be educated. I mean, I'm I'll admit I'm ignorant to all the details of this, although I know it is horrific. So I think board members, let's get that scheduled so we can all
So
take
you
it.
want to do it together, or?
Let's discuss. Yeah, let's figure it out. I don't know that we have to be together, but I think it would be a great thing for each of us to do. So, any other questions? Julie,
No, I'm good. Thank you.
for bringing this to our attention and for this presentation. Thank you. I forgot your names already, but thank
Mandy
you.
and Vilda, yes. And the invitation is here. If you want us to come back and answer other questions in another setting, please feel free to do that. Thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
Thank you so
Let me just
much.
make one comment in that, and to that point is, I think we'd love an update at some point, whether it's in a formal board meeting or an email to the board in terms of progress with the grant and what you're accomplishing and where you still need to go to accomplish the objectives that the grant has laid out.
Thank you. We certainly will plan on that.
Thank you. All right. Next on our item is a report on junior high school musicals. Danny and Noel, invite you to come forward. Oh, Danny's bringing his own chair. Nice. Welcome.
Thank you, members of the board, superintendent, giving us a chance tonight to talk a little bit about junior high school musicals and plays. I'm Danny Sterling, one of 3 school leadership directors that supervise all of our junior highs and high schools. And Noel is, Dr. Converse is our director over curriculum, and our departments always work closely together on several things, and particularly in this case about offering opportunities and assuring that all kids have opportunities across our curriculum, and in this case, fine arts and our musicals and plays. So if I could, we'll start. Before I start, I do want to mention just on a personal note that I'm a child of a music teacher, and my father in Idaho, before we moved to Utah, when I was in elementary school, was kind of all things, instrumental, choir, plays, drama, all of that. And so I have memories of anytime we had a musical like Sound of Music or Camelot, where there's a kid part, I got to do that. And so I have vivid memories of long nights sleeping on the auditorium chairs and getting up when it was my time to rehearse and so forth. And so I've seen firsthand as growing up the impact that that can have on kids and the value that is. And then, of course, as a principal over the years, an assistant principal, about the hook that that can be for many of our kids and how that impacts the rest of their education I've seen firsthand. And I know Dr. Converse here, if you've seen any of our admin kickoffs, is always one of the soloists that we perform, and she's got a great personal background in this area too, and both our departments are committed to this.
I just want to say that's
Ben, I think Danny's would be a great reference for one of our.
there you go.
board members.
No, that would
And-
be Noel.
And
Yeah,
see,
no,
the
just-
smartest people are involved in music. I just
Yeah.
We'll look forward to it.
Absolutely, and I know that all of our administrators share this passion for the fine arts as well. So I appreciate the opportunity to talk a little bit. Basically, I have 3 short portions of this. I want to talk a little bit about what pre-COVID and what we were doing pre-COVID in years past with our junior highs, and a little bit about this year and some of the challenges regarding keeping kids safe, and then close with what we're doing moving forward. So in years prior, every junior high school have offered some type of musical or play. Most schools did that where there were opportunities for kids to practice and perform or rehearse after school, we did have a few schools that you needed to be in the theater class or the drama class in order to do that. And that was never intended to limit kids for participation. It was a way to try to get kids into the drama classes. In some of our junior highs, particularly when they lost ninth grade but hadn't added sixth grade yet, they're small schools. And so in order to have a drama program, we need to have drama teachers and drama classes. And so that was more of an attempt in those few schools to get kids to sign up for drama so there would be classes that we could hire drama teachers and so forth. That was pre-COVID, but we always had opportunities for kids one way or the other. If we fast forward to this year, as you know, COVID has had an impact on everything we do. And at the beginning of the year, general guidance from the district, when I say the district, that's our department, our school leadership directors, is we talked with our principals. As you remember, it seems like several months ago, it was only a short while ago, where we were very excited to have the opportunity to be in face-to-face education period. And there were a lot of concerns from teachers, from parents, about safety for kids and so forth. And so we did ask that after-school activities were restricted. And that's how we started off the year. And we fast forward a couple months. In December, High School Activities Association came out with, well, instead of dismissing team sports when they reach 3 or more threshold of positive cases and so forth, if we can proactively test our kids and provide a safe environment by testing them every other week, then that's a better way to go to identify kids who do have COVID and isolate them as appropriate, but allow for these activities to go on and continue. Once that happened with the high schools, then we started looking at what are the possibilities for junior highs, particularly with fine arts and our school musicals. So we did have some schools that were still only allowing that for kids that were in the class. But we had many schools that jumped on the opportunity, hey, if we're allowed to practice after school now, we definitely will allow for that option. So we had several schools take advantage of that. In fact, this is just in the last couple weeks. We've already done test to play, as you guys have heard, I'm sure, where we've done that with our junior high schools at Benyon Junior High, and we did Granite Park Junior High last week, and we're doing Eisenhower in the next 2 days. So, and I'm happy to say successfully, we haven't had any positive cases. So that's both assured that it's safe, but then also for parents and teachers and kids that we're able to do that. One of the reasons that testing is important too is because, as we know, some of these activities, depending, are activities that happen when masks are off, and that's a little more risk for those. So we always wear masks whenever possible, but we know there's certain activities that's part of the activity not to have a mask on. So that's what we've done as most recently, and it has provided us an opportunity to have a conversation with myself and the other directors and curriculum department and so forth about what we're doing for our kids across our junior high schools. And that has led us to determine moving forward, even though there's only a couple schools in this situation, moving forward, we want to have a clear expectation for all junior highs that we continue to offer musicals and plays, but we allow those for all kids interested to participate. Even if they can't fit it into one of their classes at school, that's okay. You can come after school and participate in that play or musical. So that's something that we will communicate with principals right away, as sometimes this can impact staffing decisions as we go forward with theater teachers and so forth. We want to make that aware right away, but also something that we'll follow up with all of our school junior high principals moving forward and their drama teachers. That is an expectation that there's an opportunity for everyone to participate, even if they're not in drama or theater class. So that's kind of the gist of what we wanted to share with you today, and I appreciate Dr. Converse joining with me. She helped in preparation with this, but also we're both available to answer any questions that you may have regarding this.
Can I just add a quick comment as well? One of the conversations we've all had within our division is how valuable the extracurricular activities such as plays and musicals are for our communities. In the junior highs, it's one of the only things that help bring in a large number of patrons to the schools to actually see the students, demonstrate their talents. And so one of your goals is to increase community engagement, and this is one of those opportunities. So that's another reason why we're going to strongly emphasize that that's the expectation, that they be held at every one of our junior highs, because we already have them in the high schools on a regular basis, but the junior highs, it hasn't been as consistent. So
I appreciate you looking into this. I know of one junior high where it was required to be in a drama class, and as I continued to get feedback on that, what was happening is people were dropping other electives in order to be, the requirement to have to be in the drama class. And I actually called Nicole and I said, okay, you're an elective teacher. What do you think of this scenario? And we kind of just thought, man, is that creating hard feelings between these elective teachers? Because, they're basically stealing kids from other classes, for lack of a better word. And so I would imagine, yikes, it almost seems like you're pitting elective teachers against each other if you're requiring that. And then, so that was just kind of, we talked through that a little bit, and that was, and Nicole had some good feedback to bring that part of it to my attention. And then I think what John said really, really is important. Junior highs, most of our junior highs are 7-8 now, and they don't even have ninth grade sports. We used to be able to have kind of that ninth grade come in, cheer their team on, but under a 7-8 model, it's really the arts. It's the musicals, it's the choir concerts, the orchestra band concerts. That really is the kind of the community. Those are the activities that you can invite community in. And so I'm just grateful for the work that you've done, and grateful for the message you're communicating, that the expectation is to maybe get a little bit more towards that next year. So I appreciate that.
So do we have junior highs now that have been planning plays this spring?
Correct. In fact, most of them are offering that. There are more schools this year than in previous years that did limit to what Karen has mentioned, that they are limited to only those that are in the drama class. But moving forward, that will no longer be the case. But yes, this year we have most of our schools, in fact, that are offering either a play or a musical.
Is there a way you can send that information? I am not on the computer to look at each school to find out when they are. So if you could let us know when they are,
Absolutely.
I would so appreciate that.
Noel, that's probably best coming from your folks. If the board and superintendency could be notified, not of the, and the high schools or Ben, high schools are going to be doing maybe not their musicals, but their spring plays coming up.
Yeah, so we actually know exactly which schools and when, so we can get that information and
Please.
then we can get it to Ben and actually publicize it as well.
We actually, discussed bringing back our monthly report to board meetings. Now that we're starting to do these activities again, we cut that off last fall just for the sake of time, but we'll get back on track with that.
Because it's Tuesday, I will tell you that Granite Park's performance will be Thursday and Friday this week. And that's not because I used to be the Granite Park principal. That's because they happen to have their performance this week.
Tell us what show.
I don't know.
Okay, that's all right. At least
Sorry.
you knew the day.
I don't know that.
Yeah, something cool.
Yeah, something cool. Yeah. So.
All right, any other questions regarding this? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
This is kind of a fast admin report meeting. I'm not complaining. Okay. All right, thanks. We're going to go ahead and kind of temporarily adjourn until 7 p.m.